Karibu sana mtazamaji wetu. This is your minister show exclusive on Champions TV. I am your host Kenyo Airato, na nashukuru sana kwa sababu ya kuwa uko pale ukigoja hii kipindi. Na siku ya leo tunaendelea na testimony kutoka kwa Pastor Maina ambaye ni wa Prime Ministries Thika Road, na tulikuwa naye wakati mwingine akaweza kutupatia his testimony, lakini hakuweza kumalizia. Kwa hivyo siku ya leo tunaanza mahali alipofikisha. Kwa hivyo usikae mbali, kaa karibu nasi na utaweza kubarikiwa. Ni vizuri sana kujua watumishi wa Mungu wanapitianga mambo mazito na wengine wanapita uchungu, kwa sababu Biblia inasema kwamba tutapita kwenye moto lakini haitatumaliza. Wakati unaona mtumishi wa Bwana amesimama akihubiri, ni vizuri ujue kwamba Mungu amemuita, kwa sababu when God calls you, he must test you, because there is no testimony without a test. Kwa hivyo karibu sana Pastor Maina.
Thank you.
And then you utaendelea kutoka mahali ulipofikisha. Na asante kwa kuchukua wakati na kufika hapa Champion TV. Tunapenda wageni.
Asante sana Bwana Kenywa. To our viewers, I want to say welcome to Champion Show. This is your minister show, and we are so much blessed to be here once again to share this testimony of God's faithfulness. When I look at my life, I see myself as a product of God's grace. In my story, I think of it as the story of the potter's house. When Jeremiah is being told, go down to the potter's house and see the potter working on a pot. I see myself as that pot that was being worked on, a pot that was marred, in the hands of a potter, but eventually it was redesigned. So I see myself, the last time I was here, I was sharing about my early childhood experiences, and for me that was my making point. God was preparing me for the things that he had in store for me. So my story is that story of the pot, and I would like to look at my story and say there is hope even for that broken pot. So for those who are viewing today, I say there is hope even for a broken pot. Even though it's broken, in the hands of God, it can be transformed to become something of greater use. So, if you allow me, Mr. Kenywa, the last time I was here, I shared a bit of my story up to the point when I was in high school and I was involved in all forms of funny behaviors that boys can get involved in. And I think where we left at a time that I closed school. In fact, it was midterm. But let me begin a little bit behind before the midterm, some experiences that were there before the midterm, so that we can catch up. Now, when we closed school on December holiday, where I was schooling, we had left school having planted some marijuana behind the school's dormitory. There was a small bush. So behind the school dormitory, that was in December when we were closing. And when we came back in January, bangi ilikuwa imekomaa, iko sawa. So when we came back in January, and I happened to be the leader of the team that was producing that bangi and packaging it. We were to harvest it.
So it does not take long to mature.
No, it doesn't. So when I came back, we found it, at least it was green, it was blossoming, the school was also in a highland. So with the wet season, things grow fast. So now we were trying to package this bangi for the students. So I happened to be the one who was in charge of drying it, crushing it and packaging it. We're packaging it into something we're calling risras, some small package, so that the boys can have their high moments. So I happened as we were packaging and we were trying to dry the bangi. When we harvested it, I even ate the green leaves. And God began working on me from that point. I didn't know that God was working on me, but God began working on my life from that point. Because after that season of trying to package the bangi, I happened to be sick, still in school. I got seriously sick, and I reached to a point where I couldn't eat. The boys would dip bread in juice and feed me, because I was down, literally down. So after that experience, I made a commitment. I said, I will never again take this thing. if it's out of this thing that I'm now sick, I don't want anything to do with it. Now, without a sermon, without anybody talking to me, it was just the Spirit of God that began working on me. I decided no longer will I take Mwangi.
Okay, there is somewhere I want to understand well. Is it the effect of the bang, or is just a normal disease?
I don't know exactly what was happening. For me, I see God's hand in the whole thing, because I found myself unwell. When I went to the hospital, they said I have amoebas and I don't know something. But for me, I knew is as a result of what I had consumed. So my mind told me it's that thing that you consumed that has brought you here. So I decided I don't want anything to do with Mwangi anymore. And that was the end of it. Then this is the time that, again, the report has gone home that I overdrank when we were opening school. And when now we are going home for midterm, I go home and find my dad waiting for me. The story had gone home, the young man was sent out of school because he was drunk, blah, blah, blah. So I found my dad with his good cupboard there with some nice pombes here. And he said, I heard that you drank in school. Now, I want us to agree. Drink as much as you want here at home. But I don't want to ever hear again that you have drunk in school. So I thought about it, and I saw a trap. If I dare touch this, things will get worse here. So I tried to...
he was just like testing you.
It was a trap. It was a trap. He wanted to confirm whether I really drink. So I saw the approach, and I said, no. Dad, I tried to cook a story. I told him, Dad, this thing, it was just the influence of some boys in school. I'm a good boy. It was just that bad company. But these things I've done with it. Dad, I'll never drink again. But let me tell you, Bwana Kenywa, I was given a beating. It was the first and the last. Never at any single time Dad ever beat me, even pinched me. But that time, Dad worked on me properly. And he said, if you dare do that again, I'll kill you. And from that time again, I said, this issue of pombe, apana. So that one now, God is working on me through those channels, sickness, then this beating. But again, I went back to school after midterm. And now the story of knowing Christ begins here now. I went back to school after midterm, and it happened after the midterm. We had a wonderful wicked rally in school. And I pray that the government would allow ministers to continue going to schools, because it was out of that weekend challenge that something was deposited in me. In school, I would join the CU when they are doing their presentations, and I would sing one or two songs, even at times under the influence of Mwangi. And now when I went back to school from midterm, I met this girl. One day we were going for preps in the morning, and she said, Mwangi, you sing so well. I pray that one day you give your life to Christ so that you can sing for him. I didn't like what she was telling me, and I told her, Esther, you have to understand, me, I don't belong to your crap. You people, you get saved today, tomorrow you have backslidden. I don't want that kind of salvation. I know one day I'll get myself saved. I get myself saved. But I want you to understand, I don't want that kind of salvation where you people, you get saved today, tomorrow you backslide. And I knew what I was saying, because you remember I told you I had 2 wives in quotes in school. Both of those girls were in the CU. So I knew what I was talking about, because I had observed the CU students and what they were doing. Today they are born again, tomorrow they are not born again. So I didn't want that kind of salvation. So I was rude on this girl, and I told her, I don't want that kind of salvation. But she insisted. That voice, we need it in the house of God. So we parted ways, and I continued with my things. But it happened, there was the move of God in the school at that particular time that was so heavy that we didn't even understand what was happening in the school. But today now I understand what was happening. The hand of God was in the school, and things were happening that were unusual. So for me now, after Esther, that week passed. Then towards the weekend, I had a dream. And this dream really scared me. In the dream, I saw the students plus myself in this cross-country race that normally in schools. So I saw myself running in the cross-country, and at one point, I don't know what happened, but I found this lion approaching me, a huge lion, Simba, approaching me. when we were running and I saw every other student running away and I was left alone and the lion came towards where I was. What I did, I turned around to the other side and tried to escape. But amazingly, again, with the direction that I took, I found the lion again coming. And by the time the dream was ending, the lion had gone up, had moved the punks, and it was just right at my face. And I was scared. I woke up from the dream, I was sweating and I was scared. And then the following morning I shared it with some of the boys. Remember I told you we had the 10th Battalion team? So I shared with part of my friends and they told me, what is troubling you? Don't you understand? You Simba si Simba bwana. Ni principal. Wewe unajua vile mnasumbuana naye. Hata kumaliza. Be careful. So I had dreams interpreters. Those they told me.
And were they saved or they were just interpreting?
The battalion were part of the bad boys in school. So,
okay, thank you, our viewer. We are having today Pastor Mwangi from PMI, the Kalod, and he really have a testimony, and we are continuing to hear more from him, and it is really inspiring, and I believe your life will never be the same again. I am your host, Kenya Irato. Continue sending your feedback, and we shall be grateful to get your message on your Twitter or your Facebook. So God bless you as we continue with Pastor Mwangi from PMI, the Kalod. Continue, sir.
Yeah, so now when I woke up, I had those great dream interpreters. They tried to tell me what it is. But even after the dream, remember I would go to class and the teacher is speaking, the teacher is teaching, but the picture comes vividly in my mind. I could see the lion in my mind, and I'm seated in a classroom. That happened for like 3 consecutive days. And this thing, I said, this must not be an ordinary dream. There must be a message here. But I didn't know, because I'm still in the world, I'm not born again. I didn't know there was a message in the dream. But now the weekend came, and on a Friday evening, I think it was on a Friday evening, and it happened that there was power blackout on a Friday evening. So we waited for power to come back. It was time for prayer. Power didn't come back. And then we said with the other boys, why don't we just go and sleep? Because it's like steamer Hairudi. So instead of going to the dormitory, we went and sat somewhere with some other 3 boys. And as we sat there, one of them began a story about the end time, things that will happen when Christ comes back. And we are 3 of us there, we are seated and we are sharing from the movies that we had watched about end time, and people are giving stories. I happened to be there, but I was not contributing. I found myself weeping, just weeping. And there was a conviction in my spirit that truly if Christ comes, as we hear that he will come, I might not be part of the people that you'll go with. So the boys are giving the stories about what they have watched in the movie, but I'm silently, I'm weeping. Luckily, there was power breaker, so they couldn't see me crying. You know, you want to look like a man in school. You don't want to look like a weakling. So I'm there, I'm weeping, and I said, this story is too much. Nilikuwa nasikia kama inanisinya ndani. As they are continuing the story, it's hitting me inside. So I said, I don't want to continue listening to this story. So I left the 3 boys, and I decided to go to the dormitory. When I got to the dormitory, it happened that one of the brothers that was born again, he was sleeping next to the door, on the dorm that I was in. So I felt this kind of a fear again, and I said, I cannot just go and sleep. I might find the lion again in the night. So I went and I woke up this.
So you are fearing the dream.
The dream, you know, that lion in me has given me some funny fear that I don't really even understand. I'm now uneasy even to go and sleep. I'm afraid. So I went and I called this brother. Today he's a pastor. His pastor Erikana is pastoring a great church in Kanyanyaine. If pastor you're watching, may God bless you for what you did and for allowing God to use you to bring me to the knowledge of Jesus Christ.
Pastor Mwangi, we shall get a break and then we shall be back so that you can continue from there. Thank you, our viewer. You are watching Minister's Show only on Champions TV. God bless you. We shall be right back after.